morning and welcome to another early morning Sunday show with a catless host. Well, he's actually upstairs. We'll see if he actually comes down. He's been getting really lazy. Though he does hang out down here. When I'm playing music, he just comes and sits and he listens to about any type of music. He really doesn't seem to be picky, but you'd rather listen to music than watch TV. Oh, here he comes, so look out, folks. So, I saw everyone posting the music they got for Christmas. Well, I'd show you mine. Here it is. Look at that. That's what I got for Christmas. Actually, my wife did buy me a couple crates that I could store my music in. You know, instead of stacking it, you know, I have a pile for, come on. I have a pile of music that is stuff I haven't listened to. Then I have a pile of music is stuff that I've played, but I haven't shown. You know how it goes. Look, key, meow, 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 meow. Yep, I know. Yeah, all right. So, that was nice. Hey, in the background today, we're playing Medeski, Martin, and Wood. Medeski, Martin, and Wood. This came out in the 1990s, and when exactly did it come out? Oh man, I can't see it. I got bifocals. 2004, not 1990s, 2004. This is a jazz trio I've always liked. I got quite a bit of their stuff on CD. Really good stuff. A couple books I picked up recently. This is called Jukebox America. Down back streets and the blue highways in search of the perfect jukebox. No idea what it's about, but anything deals with travel and with music, can't go wrong. This was an interesting one. It's called A Howlin' Wind. It's looking at pub rock here. Pub rock and the birth of new wave. It kind of goes through that. You can see there Elvis Costello and Graham Parsons. Dude, would you quit headbutting me, man? Here. I'm really looking forward to this one. The show that never ends. The show that never ends is the rise and fall of pub rock. I mean, pub rock, a progressive rock. I know very little about prog rock, so this should be really interesting, kind of a read. And I did get this book for Christmas because I bought it and it came in and I did not open the box. I gave it to my wife. Says, here's one of my Christmas presents. Make sure you wrap it up. And it's from that PBS series on country music. I really love these Ken Burns books and these PBS series, so that should be something really, really good. All right, Cat's settling down. He's settling in. We're ready to go. My shirt that you might have been able to see is from Dusty Grooves Records. Isn't that neat? Pretty cool. Forget it. You can't see it. Can't decide it about that. But I bought that when I was in Chicago. Thanks to many of you who said you're in Chicago and you're not going to go to Dusty Grooves Records. I was shamed. I was shamed. So before we left, I told my wife, we got to go to Dusty Grooves Record or a bunch of people will unsub me. So we did, and we had a good time, and I'll show you my pickup. Special thank you, and I'm not going to have time to show up this week, but next week I will. I received some VCLT from Andre, Linda Lake, and from Chris Farley, and they both sent me just some incredible music that I'm listening to now, and I will show next week and talk about it. I had this week kind of booked up, and I didn't want to go for hours and hours, which I seem to do anyway, so hey, you know, saving time. Okay, this guy's going to be a pain in the ass, but that's okay. Piles of miles. We're going to talk piles of miles because I have bought in a lot of Miles Davis lately. And it's been kind of stacking up. I just wanted to show it at once, so let's begin. First one is here. This is from 1961. Dude, why are you... Oh, God. Quit. Why do you lick the face? I know. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. This is, we've lost focus and 5 minutes of time. This is live at Birdland. And this was this is his first live recording that Miles Davis did. Hold on, man. I don't like my camera angle whatsoever. Here, you get off. There we go. All right. There, I like that better. That's much better. Okay, this is at Black Hawk, and this was the first club recordings, live club recordings that Miles Davis had done. And the Black Hawk was one of the oldest jazz clubs and was based in San Francisco. As they were getting ready for this, it was '61, they were kind of nervous because they didn't know how Miles would be. He was already known to be a temperamental player, turning his back, walking off stage or whatever, so they weren't quite sure. Well, he was really loose. Before the concert started, he's talking with a group of people about the art of pickpocketing, something you just don't hear every day, and Miles Davis seemed to have a lot to say about it, so he was talking to them about that. And so they get on here, and this had his quintet on here. It had Hank Mobley was on tenor sax, Winston Kelly on piano, Paul Chambers on bass, and Jimmy Cobb was on drums. And they just played some of his standards. For instance, this says "So What," "What You Needed," "Fran's Dance," "Oleo," "If I Were a Bell," "Neil." And this is volume 2, and you can see I got volume 1 right over there. It had come out as a box set back in the aughts or late 90s, live at Black Hawk, and this is the complete concert. This has everything on there, including stuff that are not on these 2 albums. So this was a nice pickup that I was able to get really good shape, and it is on, I don't got even the paper sleeve yet. It's a 6i there, Columbia. So happy to have that. Then had this one. This is from Record Store Day, and I'm not going to open it up. And this is Miles live in Tokyo. This came out in 1964. What made this album interesting is Sam Rivers plays sax. Now, Sam Rivers was just with Miles Davis for a very short period of time. Him and Miles didn't hit it off. Miles felt that Sam Rivers was much too avant-garde for his likes, so they just never gelled whatsoever. But also on this, there's Herbie Hancock, Carter plays on it, and Tony Williams. And right after Sam Rivers left, in came Wayne Shorter. So this has not been available in the U.S. It was just made for Japan, and they did a nice job with the packaging. It was Columbia from Japan on the label, so it looks really neat. So yeah, it's just some more of his some of his standards. Nothing earth-shattering was on this, but for me it sounded great, and Miles Davis is just nice to have another document of something that he's done. Then this was a fun pickup. It was a Mo-Fi, Miles Smiles, and really, what a great album. You could say this is probably one of his very best of his of that second quintet that he had, and this came out in 1966. I mean, it is one of his definitive albums in my mind. On this album, he talked about, I want less piano, and I want more bass, and I want more drum. He was switching what he was doing and how he was thinking about how the music should come out. And this was beginning. He was thinking more of this, change it more to a more low rock style. In fact, Wayne Shorter, he did a song, one of the Wayne Shorter songs called Dolores, and it was in 5 parts. 2 of the parts were dedicated just to bass and to drum. So they were really kind of changing up things. There was, oh my goodness. So what he would do on solos is he would tell his guys, okay, the first 8 measures, I want you to keep with what we're going on, the groove we have going. But then the next 8 measures, you can do whatever you want. Go on any harmonic road. And so you find more exploration going on in here. He's just letting his guys go and starting doing their own things, which really makes this exciting. You know, Miles was way behind on recordings when this was aired, so you know, Columbia was getting kind of pissed off because he was getting all these advances and wasn't putting anything out. But this has Orbits and Circles, Footprints, Freedom Jazz Dance, which is just a Tony Williams kind of a drum, you know, features Tony Williams on the drums, and Gingerbread Boy. Super good stuff, really great music from one of my favorites, obviously. You know, I've been, I don't know what's going on there. Really, really happy to get this. You know, for a Miles collector or someone buying Miles, Miles Smiles is a really top-notch album. It has a couple ballads and some harder stuff, and he's starting to change on how he's playing. Then, this came out on Record Store Day, In a Silent Way, and look at this. There's a download card from WeVinyl. Go ahead and take a look at that. Freeze it, whatever. Feel free to take that. Hey, first one. Hey, they get to have that. All right, pretty nice. This was from 3 songs that did not come out, that did show up from the In a Silent Way sessions. They did show up though here. He had this box set that came out, and this is the complete In a Silent Way box set. Someday I should show a bunch of my Miles box sets. I have a lot of them, but these songs were on there, but they've never been put on vinyl. So here they are for you to hear. And what can we tell you? This was the beginning of Fusion. This is when it was all beginning to start. He had 3 keyboard players. He had Herbie Hancock, Chick Corea, and Joe Sonal. I say it wrong every time. I apologize, Joe. John McLaughlin makes an appearance on In a Silent Way for the first time. He had been playing with a trio called Lighthouse, or Lifetime, and that was Tony Williams' trio. So Tony Williams says, man, you got to come in, and him and Miles, you know, he was a little nervous coming in, not sure what to do, because Miles doesn't tell you, he just says, here, we're going to play this, and away you go. But they figured it out, and they all began going. What they called it is they said we were making intuitive music. It was, we were channeling a higher consciousness. People on LSD say that exact same thing, don't they? Well, how about that? The songs were all done in little segments. And you know, just do a little segment, and then go on to another little segment. And then they took all these and put it together. In a Silent Way is a 40-minute album, but there's only 33 minutes of music. Everything else was reused in there. Just this is how they were now creating in the process they were doing. And when they had this music, oh, hey, this is kind of short. Though you could see there's a box set on everything that was done In a Silent Way, because Davis had began just recording, talking, or whatever. But what they were using was just the snippets. And the music on In a Silent Way, it's not bebop, it's not modal, it's not rock and roll. To me, it's very dreamlike. It's very relaxing, it's soft. If you just want to chill, In a Silent Way is a beautiful album. It is one of my favorites of Davis. That box set is probably one of my most played box sets that I have. You know, just a fun fact. The musicians in Miles Davis's bands, the one in the Union, he got paid $85 a day. $85 a day to do this. And this was 1969 when this was done. John McLaughlin and one other non-union, not from the U.S., they only got paid $65 a day. That's why these guys had to play concerts and in clubs all the time, because you didn't make much recording, and you recorded fast. It wasn't like, you know, some of the rock guys, you know, you'd take a year, 2 years to record. Not in jazz. Fast, because, you know, they had club dates. Next one we have, oh, I didn't bring out that box set. I bought the box set for this too, but now here is, but I finally found it, the album. This is Jack Johnson, and this was his soundtrack to a documentary just on Columbia. This was done in 1970. And Miles Davis was approached to do a documentary on Jack Johnson. In here, he had a brand new bassist. His name was Michael Henderson, only 18 years old. This man, he'd already played, at 18, played with Stevie Wonder. He had played with Aretha Franklin. So this guy was able to create all kinds of riffs, and he could change his tuning right midstream. So he really added a lot to this album. Well, Jack Johnson was a boxer. Miles Davis had boxed, and he loved boxing. So he just researched everything he could about Jack Johnson. And he wanted, his biggest worry was the music wouldn't be black enough. That was what he wanted to make sure it was. So in here he used Motown bass lines. There's elements of Funkadelic that can be found in here, along with James Brown, I'm Black, I'm Proud. He tried to encapsulate all that type of music into this soundtrack. And this is just a tour de force. Great fusion, but you hear the rock and the funk. I mean, Miles Davis understood funk because he borrowed a ton from Sly Stone. Him and Sly had become good friends, both strung up and in the studio, though Stone wasn't really going to the studio much anymore. But this really fun album, really good to see. Herbie Hancock wasn't in the group touring, but he would still show up and do recordings. Well, they were recording this, and he came in, and he had groceries, and Davis just nods at the organ, and Hancock goes, "Wait, I got groceries. I can't play right now." And Davis gave him one of these looks. Play or die. And so, you know, Hancock put down the groceries, jumped on the organ, and began to play. So, fun music. This had Davis, Herbie Hancock is listed, John McLaughlin, Steve Grossman, Billy Cobb, and Michael Henderson was the group. Great pickup. My final one is this is what I bought at Dusty Grooves, and this is Black Beauty. Black Beauty was not when it came out, it wasn't put out in the U.S. It was put out overseas, and this is a beautiful Japanese pressing. This thing is pristine, and here it is, the Japanese label. Incredible find. I was amazed at the amount of Davis that they had in there. It wasn't the cheapest thing. It's the only thing I bought at Dusty Grooves, but also I needed to get going, and my wife was there. This is from a live 1977, and on it, I tell you, it was just, he took, there's like 10, 15 different songs on here, but it's done as if it's one song. It's just one after another. There's no breaks, there's no stopping, there's no talking, there's none of that. It just runs into each other, which makes it really interesting. He used music from the 50s all the way up to Bitches Brew as he was doing this recording. In fact, Columbia House, they were trying to figure out what's going on, and it took them over 10 years to get the royalties right, as they were just trying to figure who was he playing or what was he playing to get it correct. You know, this is just, there's a lot of solos, there's a lot of fixed rhythms that are happening in this thing. It really is high quality fusion. And in the US, it was only available in CD. This came out in 1997, and that's the only time that this had been available in the US. I think it is released now on vinyl, but this is the one that came out in Japan way back in 1970. So this is a really neat find. This isn't for everyone. Just to be honest, if you're newer to Miles Davis, if you don't like fusion that much, you really don't want Black Beauty. For me, I really like it. I'm not a huge fusion guy, but Davis has groove, and I am a groove guy. I'm kind of groovy, baby. So great find. So funky, right? Speaking of funky, Queen of Funk, I'm telling you, Betty Davis. Andrew Chales from The Crate had shown this a long time ago and talked about it, and a few others have too. Andy Borders had. along with some more. What an incredible album. Came out in 1973. And this is Mrs. Miles Davis. That's right. In 68, she married Miles Davis. She was 23 years old. Miles was already in his upper 40s, but he liked younger ladies. They divorced within 1 year, and the reason why is Miles Davis said she was too young and too wild for me. Holy crap. What does that mean, you know? She introduced Miles to Sly Stone. She introduced Miles to Jimi Hendrix. You could say she really helped change his direction. She has the, shall we say, the emotion, the emotion of Tina Turner, the fashion sense of David Bowie, and the trend setting of Miles Davis. She's just, this is incredible. On here, she used, you know, people from Sly and Stone's band were playing on here. I mean, this is aggressive, no-nonsense funk. For instance, the very first song, if I'm in luck, I might get picked up. Okay, this is no Wallflower song. Let me tell you, she's out there talking about, you know, she is the aggressor. You know, she starts just singing about, you know what, if I'm going to wiggle my fanny and I'm doing the raunchy dance. And that's what she's singing about. She just comes out. She knows what she wants and she goes out to get it. She had Larry Graham on bass and Greg Enrique was on drums. Both of them played with Sly and the Family Stone. On guitar, she had Neil Schon and Douglas Rodriguez. And they were from Santana. So you could see what she had put together. This is a massive, incredible funk band. This is bass thumping, screaming, guitars are going on. Pure funk masterpiece. This came out from, I got this from Vinyl Me Please. And let's see if there's anything special on the vinyl. Yeah, a nice gray. I cannot tell you enough or praise this enough for funkiness. Fantastic, amazing, absolutely love it. What a masterpiece. Hard-hitting, hard-charging, pure funk.
Crush my belly, don't you ruffle my feathers either. Sound crazy, oh wow.
I can dig it. Hey, you know,
I see you.
I know where you're coming from.
Say you will, say you will.
John Prine is next, so we go from funk to Prine. Funk and Prine, yeah. Okay, so this came, John Prine, born in 46 down in Illinois, Maywood, Illinois. He was in Chicago. In the 60s, he was a mailman. He was delivering mail, but he would go to open mic night at a folk place, and he would be listening to them, and finally he had enough courage to go on stage and began playing some of the songs that he was writing. Well, one night Roger Ebert from the movie critics, or the critic from the, I believe, the Tribune, Roger Ebert was there, and he wrote a really good review about this guy that he heard at this folk club. Well, later on, Chris Christopherson was there. He heard Prine, loved Prine, and was able to get him his very first record contract. And this is his debut album, and this came out in 1971. I have zero John Prine. I've never listened to John Prine. Many of you have talked a lot about him, and I just haven't joined in. This album is an album of standards. I mean, all these songs went on, you know, everybody was covering him. That's how good a songwriter he was. He has this one, it's called Sam Stone. And Sam Stone is about a Vietnam vet that comes back addicted to dope. And there's this line. He goes, it's done from like a child's perspective. He goes, there's a hole in my daddy's arm where all the money goes. Man, I mean, is that not the most powerful dang thing? There's a song called Paradise, and that's about the desolation that's being caused by strip mining, and it's become a bluegrass classic. There is Your Flag Decal Won't Get You Into Heaven Anymore. And it was a song that really poked fun at fake patriotism. You know, let's go fight, do all this. I got my decal, but yet we're not being a part of it. Amazing stuff. There's full rock, it's folk, and it's country. And I'm telling you, this was just really an incredible album. It was just great listening to. It's one of those you have to sit there and you really have to listen to the lyrics. You know, his vocal style, he was still learning it. He was still trying to get himself going. The album didn't do well, but he's had, obviously, he just put out an album last year that many people in the BC really like, and I need to pick it up. Now, this guy writes songs. He has a humorous style to him. Super good stuff. My final one was just a record store day pick on beautiful. I know you say, well, what is it? Well, I know. I'm showing you the vinyl first, dang it. Beautiful yellow vinyl. And it was Vitamin String Quartet performs Nightmare Before Christmas. Nothing special. They just took the soundtrack of Nightmare Before Christmas, put it to strings on a quartet. Sounds great. I love that movie. My Christmas special, we had the argument of, is it a Halloween or Christmas movie? Let me tell you right now, I watched it just last week. It was on one of the Christmas movie channels, so I said it was Christmas. Darn it, there it is. All right, we did it. Couldn't play almost no samples this week because everything's blocked. I'm showing Miles Davis. They don't allow Miles Davis to be played, so which is too bad. But that really was a nice overview of a lot of his works. Next week, I'm going to have a kind of a David Bowie. I picked up a ton of David Bowie. Someone brought in a collection at my local record store. My last segment for my top 100 will be this week of my go-to, though I may add an addendum of things that are missing on there. I did one last night for Ed One Pretty Green Vinyl Guy, a contest entry. So I'm looking forward to some more videos and maybe do another 100, but I'm trying to decide. If people have really reacted well to it, and I've had a good time doing it. So thank you so much for tuning in. Really do appreciate it. Hope all of you have a very happy New Year. I should have decorated for New Year's or had a hat. Oh well. I don't make it past 10:30 on New Year's, folks. 11 o'clock, forget it. My wife goes, you want to stay out? I go, what? I'm just going to fall asleep. No, I'm not. I am not the New Year's guy. I'm not the party dude, though it is a new century. I mean, not a new century, a new decade. That's exciting. New decade, 2020. So cheers, everyone. Happy 2020 to each and every one of you. Thank you for your support. Thumbs up, whatever you like to do. Whatever you do, comment, okay? And we'll talk. All right, thanks, everyone. Bye.